Hello and happy Sunday, Los Angeles. Hello, lovers of the black and gold, fans of Major League Soccer, and the millions
and millions
of defenders of the bank listeners. Hello, Mad Flavors. This is episode 432. And last night, defenders, we all learned something. Apparently, you could take 34 shots in a football match and score one goal. 34. LAFC fired more shots last night than some NBA starters take during an entire week of play. And somehow we walked away from BMO with a 1-1 draw against the pesky Pine Trees of Portland. So how exactly do we feel about this one? Because it simultaneously was one of LAFC's most dominating performances of the season and yet one of its most frustrating. We are going to chat about that. My name's Christian Filliman, otherwise known as Philly, and joining me in front of the infamous scarf wall, the man himself, the Bishop of Bufandas, the tyrant of threads, the Sultan of, shawls, J.R. Liebert.
It's the scarf. What's good, LAFC Nation? Yeah, a frustrating point for sure, but not for a lack of trying, right? LAFC did whatever they wanted all night except put the ball in the back of the net. But the combination of James Pantemis playing so well and the lack of a quality finish, other than Denis' beautiful goal, certainly leaves the black and gold and the black and gold faithful wanting more. LAFC made 396 passes inside Portland's half. We've gone all matches this season where we haven't completed 400 passes total. We created 51 touches giggity in Portland's box. Took 34 shots, club record. Put 12 of them on frame. Hit the crossbar once. Denis himself took 12 shots. It was an unreal effort everywhere except that attacking final shot. Defensively, I don't know what more you want out of LAFC. They allowed just 2 shots on target, and it was because of Christopher Velda, Philly's player to watch in this one, who absolutely chopped up Matty Schwanier and Ryan Porteous. But the margin has just been so thin, Philly. The margin for error just hasn't been there for LAFC.
No, I mean, LAFC controlled the ball, controlled territory, created the chances. You said it set a club record for shots. And Portland basically said, that's adorable. We'll take our point now. So we're going to obviously talk about the early disaster, the avalanche of the missed opportunities. Denis finally saying, F you, Joe Boo, I do it myself. And the larger question facing the team, do we have a chance creation problem? No, we have a chance finishing problem. And those are two very, very different things. But before we get into that, a couple of housekeeping items. Scarf, why don't you take that away? And I do. What's the word I'm looking for? I definitely feel you, Mad Flavors. I'd rather go to a 1 p.m. Dodger game with no water in the sun and hungover as well. Just saying.
I would like to remind everybody, though, that there was plenty of joy after the match as LAFC's unified team, our Special Olympics unified team, closed out an undefeated season at BMO Stadium with a resounding victory. There'll actually be some content. I've got some video and some interviews with both head coach Michael McKnight, several different players. It was an incredible atmosphere after the match. The unified team, again, capping off an undefeated season. So congratulations, Coach Michael McKnight, everybody who makes that happen. LAFC does such a wonderful job supporting these athletes. Again, congrats to the unified team. I believe the final score was 6-1 in that game. It wasn't even close. It was an absolute shellacking by our unified team. So congrats to them. Quick this day in LAFC history, August 22nd. Let's go back to our maiden voyage, 2018. August 22nd, 2018, LAFC Academy's under 13s wins the CONCACAF Champions League title, which would be the first ever international trophy for LAFC. By the U13s in the academy. Congrats to all those U13s back in 2018. And then our very quick news and notes, as we will note in our lineups, DeCarlo Guerra signed a short-term first-team contract ahead of this Portland match. We've signed 3 different players to short-termers recently. So congrats to DeCarlo Guerra. He's been an LAFC 2 mainstay for quite some time in the 18, but would not play in this one. So that's it for news and notes and this day in LAFC history, Philly. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
I agree. So I guess we'll start going. We'll talk about the series history. Has been obviously very close between these two teams. I mean, we've faced off Portland on a number of occasions. Portland is a team, that's 8, 9, and 3 coming into this game, 27 points in MLS play, just out close to that cusp, 9th in the West, 37 goals scored, 36 goals allowed, +1 goal differential, but the 4th most goals scored in the West. And they've been on a much better run of form as of late, going 4-1-1 in MLS play, which is obviously a little better than LAFC. LAFC comes in with a 10-7-4 record, 35 goals scored, 21 goals allowed, a +14 goal differential. So clearly very, very different. LAFC is a team that, it looks like they score a lot of goals. They haven't done so lately, but the irony of this season is we might actually have one of LAFC's best defensive teams yet, but still we struggle to score. These two teams met back in April. Portland unfortunately defeated the Black and Gold 2-1. Jude Terry, who would get some minutes today, yesterday, got the goal assisted by Matt Evans, players that we don't see normally here, but yeah, that's kind of how things start up, how we go into this game. Portland's a team that very physical, very good at utilizing the dark arts, but I can't say they really did much of that yesterday because, they didn't really have the ball. We controlled the ball. We controlled possession. Scarf already told you how many times we had touches in the box. It was just a crazy, crazy kind of scenario.
Yeah, and Philly, it's one of those things where you have to tip your cap to James Pantemis. James Pantemis played excellent last night in goal for Portland. As much as I gave him grief, right? This was his 21st MLS regular season game, and he still only has 1 clean sheet on the season. Not for a lack of trying last night. And if not for Denis having to pull a rabbit out of nothing, he would have had his 2nd clean sheet despite LAFC putting so many shots on target. Sometimes you run into a hot keeper and sometimes you can't finish. Boy, is it frustrating when both of those things happen at the same time. And look, new head coach Marty Cifuentes has this club going in the right direction. They've scored 13 goals in his previous 4 matches at the helm. That's it. So you're talking about a team that has figured out how to score. I was a little bummed that Diego Chara was a late scratch in this one. Yeah, I was hoping to see the 40-year-old get out there at BMO Stadium in what might be his final season. Unfortunately, didn't get a chance to watch him pick up another yellow card. But let's get into the lineups in this one. First, the injury watch for Portland. They were missing right back Brandon By, 2nd in minutes on the club. And it was Jimmer Forey who would play that position and then wind up getting hurt himself later in the match. And for LAFC, coming into the match injured, we knew Igor Jesus, Sergi Palencia, Thomas Asal, and David Martinez. We will be adding another name to that list in about 5 minutes. Portland's lineup, they came out in a 4-2-3-1. James Pantemis in goal is pretty much all you need to know about their starting lineup. But Eric Miller, Kamal Miller, Finn Sermon, who probably won't be there much longer, and Jimmer Forey round out the back line. Cole Bassett and Jose Caicedo in the midfield. Ari Lassiter, David Da Costa, Kevin Kelsey, and Philly's pick to click, who was fantastic in this one for all 70 minutes. Christopher Velda rounds out the lineup for Portland. In the 18, the players we would see: Joao Ortiz, Anthony, Ian Smith, Vincent Janssen, who had himself a fun shift last night at BMO, and Omir Fernandez.
Velda won cap with the Norwegian national team too, but I don't know if he would have played with Holland. And speaking of Holland, dude cut his hair. What was he thinking? He cut his hair. Crazy. Even Zlatan was shocked. Anyway, I digress. LAFC starts off in that 4-3-3 with Hugo Lloris back in between the sticks. Chaberco, Aaron Long, Ryan Porteous, and Ryan Hollingshead round out the 4 of the 4-3-3. In your midfield, you got Marky Delgado, the LAFC Swiss Army knife, Eddie Segura, and Mathieu Chouanier. And then Denny Bouanga, Sonny, and in the in the front line as a forward, although he wouldn't get much run, we'll talk about that in a second, is Timothy Tillman. So another player really being asked to be versatile on this team. LAFC, as far as pulling players off the Pine Pony, Jacob Schaffelberg would be the one who would get the most run. We would see some time out of Ryan Raposo. We would see Terry. I haven't even gone through the entire sub scenario. Obviously, you had Tyler Boyd, Jeremy Abobasi were warming up, Kenny Nielsen, Cabral Carter, and Guerra. But I mean, the big topic of conversation coming off the LAFC bench, without question, was Jacob Schaffelberg coming in for what appeared to be gingerly walking off the pitch, maybe a hamstring, maybe, I don't know, Timothy Tillman scenario. That would be your LAFC lineup. And starting the game, man, it was awful. We couldn't have asked for a crappier start.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's that man, Christopher Velda. By the way, I did look it up. His one cap with Norway, he played 2 minutes, and he subbed on right as Erling Haaland subbed off. So they actually never were on the pitch together, but they probably high-fived as one was coming off and one was coming on. That's about as close as it got. His one cap was against Cyprus in an international friendly for 2 minutes. You mentioned it, Philly. 4 minutes in, the tied for the earliest that LAFC has given up a goal this season, which means we've done it twice now. Damn it. David da Costa from Velda. It was an awful turnover by Denis Bouanga. He was trying to cross it, had no business crossing it. Philly knows this. We talk about it's like inbounding the ball under your own basket, right? Throwing it across the key. You just never want to do that. It leads to steals. Velda absolutely chopped Matty Chouanier. His pass, I don't know where Ryan Porteous was going, but he went one way, the pass went the other. Terrible defense. Just like that, LAFC down 1-0. And I mean, Philly, I feel like has talked about it 3 or 4 times on these last couple episodes, how razor thin the margin for error has been for LAFC. And now we fall to 0-7-2 when giving up the first goal of the game.
Yeah, remember what we talked about coming into this match? I mean, we didn't necessarily need to defend more. We just needed to defend cleaner. No cheap turnovers and no unnecessary mistakes. And naturally, 4 minutes in, that's exactly what happened. You already walked through it. But 4 minutes, man, 4 minutes. We haven't even figured out who's sitting in our seats yet. And LAFC already chasing the game. And yeah, 3 straight MLS matches in which we've conceded first. 2 of those matches were at home. When you already talked about when LAFC concedes, what their record is. Well, when they score first, they're 10-0-1. That is a huge difference. This team is Jekyll and Hyde depending on who gets the opening goal. And we're talking a monstrous Jekyll and Hyde. And against Portland, conceding early was particularly costly because now Timbers didn't have to chase anything. I mean, they could just shrink the field. They could protect the box. They could absorb pressure. They could counter. Basically, they could say, here's the ball, LAFC, and have fun trying to get through us.
And honestly, I don't think Portland defended well in this one. I really don't. I mean, yes, I know they had, 12 blocked shots, but we put 12 on target. Pantemis saves 11 of them. I don't think Portland did anything that we were surprised about in the entire match. I think if you ask Mark Dos Santos, coming in, is this what you thought Portland would do? He would say, absolutely. And we got everything that we wanted except the end product. I mean, 4 minutes later, you get Pantemis with a kick save on Matty Chouanier, and then that one tips the underside of the crossbar. You got Sonny, who has his shot saved by a diving Pantemis in the 18th minute, after a great takeaway, by the way, by Timothy Tillman, the good high press there. And then he hammers one, but it's another good save by Pantemis. And somehow, Denis and Sonny, neither could get a touch as this ball trickles past the both of them. And then unfortunately, like Philly mentioned, just a minute later there in the 20th, we see Tillman come off. Maybe it was because he put everything into that shot. Might have pulled a hammy on that rocket there to Pantemis. But I think the bigger issue for me, Philly, is that Timothy Tillman came off due to injury. Sure, Timothy Tillman was starting at striker. Why? Why is Timothy Tillman? You're telling me that that's our best option right now over Jacob Schaffelberg, obviously with David Martinez hurt, and thank God it wasn't Jeremy Ebobisse, but I guess that's my big issue is that he's starting at striker.
I don't know if he was on the right side when he got the start. I mean, the center forward was essentially Sonny, and then you got Denny on the other side. And then, Jacob Schaffelberg is the kind of player that can create chaos, but I hate to say it, he's not the kind of player that has that killer mentality, that killer instinct, that ability to score in the box. We've clearly seen quite a run of that these past couple of games. But regardless of how we feel about Tillman, this just goes back to what we've been talking about forever. We're just not there when it comes to depth. It was even before he fired the shot off, or before that shot was fired off, because immediately the thing I noticed was Boyd and Schaffelberg came off of the bench quick, and then they're running and rotating and moving around. And then right as Timothy Tillman won the ball back, that's when you saw Jacob Schaffelberg take off the penny and head on over to to check into the game. And so when Tillman walks off, you could clearly see that it's hobbling a little bit. I don't know if this is something that stems back from the injury he sustained against El Salvador. I don't want to speculate on any kind of an injury, but didn't look like it would have been his ankle. I could have sworn I maybe saw him like motion to his hamstring. I mean, hamstrings are some of the most annoying things that you can get injured, because you can still walk, but you can continuously re-injure it time and time again. But we lose him and we don't sign anybody else. And now we get dangerously deep, and then more LAFC 2 players are going to have to sign short-term contracts to move up and fill in the bench. We're getting dangerously close to being pretty depleted.
Yeah, and look, just a quick recap on Jacob Schaffelberg recently. Since the World Cup break ended, he's made 4 starts, played in 5 of 6 matches coming into this one, getting an average of 60, 65 minutes in a lot of those opportunities. 0 goal contributions. In fact, his last goal contribution was an assist in a 4-1 loss to Houston back on May 10th. We can't have that type of a lack of production. Now, granted, in that same span, obviously, David Martinez playing very, very well. Nathan Ordaz had a bulk of some of those minutes as well. But now that Schaffelberg has the opportunity, he hasn't done anything with it, and it's been really frustrating. He's got that plus attribute, right? He's got the speed. He's got the ability to take the top off the defense. But once he gets the ball, I mean, he's looked devoid of any ability to put that ball in the back of the net. So
he's got a heavy foot too. I mean, the number of times we've seen him in positions to attack, and his touch is just too heavy, whether he's being defended or whether he's running off on his own. He, like Tillman, not necessarily a threat when they're inside of the box. And you talk about how it's a problem that he's had 0 goal contributions. You could kind of argue that he contributed to Eddie Segura's game winner against Toluca. Kind of, obviously, it took a deflection off of Toluca. He does a great job getting other defenders to scramble, but yes, he can't score. And unfortunately, neither can Jeremy Ebobisse. So we have 2 players that operate as forwards that can't score. One of them is hurt, David Martinez. And then we've got Denny and Sonny. And had Denny not scored the banger that he did, we would have been talking about how he's kind of disappeared offensively as well. Sonny had his opportunities, fired plenty of times into a blockade of Portland defenders, but our guys aren't scoring. We're defending fairly well. Sant's a crap mistake in every single game that's cost us dearly, but we can't effing score. And that's the part that drives me bonkers. We don't know where the goals are going to come from. Nobody in the midfield seems to be able to do it either. And that's as we continue to go on, we can't keep playing these 1-0 kind of games or 1-1 kind of games. We're dropping points at home, and if that continues to happen, we're going to fall further down the Western Conference ladder. I'm not worried about not making the postseason, but I mean, this is a team that has the tools. They just can't get the job done.
Yeah, I'm tired of trading 3 for 1 in terms of points that we should be getting in some of these matches. Denny had another shot saved just after Tillman went off, and then Jacob Schaffelberg did have a nice cross into Ryan Hollingshead for that near post header.
Yep.
I just always marvel about how creative Ryan Hollingshead is when he's on the end of some of these crosses. By the way, Portland for the entire match had 0 successful crosses. That tells you something about this club and how well we defended. We had that one successful cross right there to Ryan Hollingshead amidst, I think we had 12 or 13 total in the match. They had 0 over the course of 90 minutes, Portland. So we defended as well as we needed to do, except for the one mistake in the 4th minute. We got lucky, though, in the 35th. Cole Bassett, yeesh. That was that nice big switch that Portland did, taking the ball from the right side all the way over to the left. And it was Velda again who found Cole Bassett. Ugo, unfortunately, was wearing some cement shoes there, had no idea where to go. And if that ball isn't wide of the goal, it's 2-0 Portland after 35 minutes out of absolutely nothing. But that being said, Denis continues to be creative, right? That nice little scoop pass to Schaffelberg. But unfortunately, Philly, despite a club record 21 first half shots, we go into halftime down a goal.
21. You said it. Club record 21, and they scored nothing. Some teams don't get 21 shots over the course of 3-4 games. We did it in 45 minutes. We have to talk about how inept the finishing has been, because I don't think we played our games badly. Actually, quite the opposite. If you're consistently getting the ball into dangerous areas and generating opportunities, the tactics work. The tactics are working. The structure is working. This is not on Mark. I hate to say it. I know there's a million of y'all right now that are MDS out, but this was not on him. Not the first half, not the second half, not with the opportunities that we had. There's no column in the standings for XG. Nobody says, congratulations, gentlemen, tremendous XG tonight. Here's your commemorative point. You got to put the ball in the fucking net, man. And, where's our killer? And this has become my thought watching the first half. We were getting passes across the box. We're getting bodies forward. We're creating opportunities. But sometimes it felt like everybody wanted to make one more pass, being far too unselfish. And eventually you find yourself screaming, son, Denis, just say F it and shoot the damn ball. Luckily, Denis would eventually do so. But because these are the two guys on this roster who have that mentality, they need to be a little more selfish. The way elite goal scorers need to be. And I don't mean selfish in a negative sense. I'm talking about the mentality where a striker gets the ball or a goal scorer gets the ball around the penalty area and thinks this possession ends with me. We brought his name up already. Erling Haaland isn't standing 6 yards from goal wondering where everybody else is who might have a slightly different angle. He's thinking, get the ball to me. It's mine. I'm going to score. That's what I want from Sonny. That's what I want from Denis. Sometimes we don't need the beautiful goal. I don't even need 7 passes in a tiki-taka scenario. Just put the ball in the net. 21 chances. What are you doing?
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. It's not tactics, right? We tactically did what we wanted in this one. It was the same thing that the Dolo out crowd would harp on. That, we're creating chances, but we're not finishing them. Okay, so what does Steve Trundle have to do with that? What does Mark Dos Santos have to do with the fact that we're not finishing chances? I'm sorry, but as much as some of you want to be MDS out, and by the way, I did hear a lot of the MDS out stuff a lot less after this match because of how well LAFC was able to perform in terms of chance creation, shot creation, things like that. They definitely seem to be putting it less on the coach on this one. But man, it's just such a tired rhetoric, especially after you have a match like this one where we clearly did what we wanted to do over the course of most of those 90 minutes. So look, it is what it is. But that being said, what LAFC did in the first half and what LAFC continued to do in the second half, if we got 21 shots in the first half, that means we got 13 more in the second half. I will take shots 13 at a time, no problem.
You did, actually.
But yeah.
You did. You did take 13 shots at a time. Yeah.
But
I was at the tailgate for a change.
It was frustrating, just the lack of being able to finish in this one, obviously. And it's not like Portland was creating chances. They weren't. They had 2 shots on target all night. I did think new head coach Marty Cifuentes made a little bit of a tactical error in the 70th minute when he took off Velda and Kelsey, perhaps parking the bus a little too early. And I liked the response then from Mark Dos Santos when he subs on Ryan Raposo for Yevon Chiberko and Jude Terry for Matty Chouanier. And Matty Chouanier was not happy when he came out of this one, but I don't think he was frustrated at coming out. I think he was frustrated at being able to, the lack of finishing that he was able to have in this match. So 76 minute, we push some chips into the table, Philly, and it doesn't take long for Denis.
No, and that was an absolute banger. You talked about parking the bus. Yeah, I don't need to say that, but 75th minute, Denny says enough. Finally, mercifully, Denny Bouanga. Jude Terry gets him the ball on the left. Denny attacks. One defender, two defenders. Cuts through, creating the opening. Right foot. Cha-ching, bang. 1-1. And that is the Denny Bouanga I'm talking about. There was no overthinking. There was no unnecessary extra pass. There was no committee meeting. He wasn't trying to find Sonny. No PowerPoint presentation. Denny basically said, screw you all. I'll do it myself. Jobu, F you. The meeting, some of you might not have seen the movie Major League. There's a character by the name of Pedro Serrano who's in a voodoo, as a character named Jobu. He worships. He's having a tough time hitting the curveball. He says, F you, Jobu. I do it myself. That's exactly what Denny did. And after 312 consecutive scoreless MLS minutes, LAFC finally has a goal. The building changed instantly. The supporters got even louder. The energy came back. The vibes rise. The spirits rise. The beers rise. And suddenly, BMO believes maybe we've just got one more goal coming. Maybe.
I mean, we've certainly worked at it. That's for sure. Congrats, by the way, to Denis Bouanga. Just 2 goals away from Carlos Vela in terms of MLS regular season goals. It's one of the few records that Denis Bouanga does not have. Carlos Vela has 78 MLS regular season goals. Denis Bouanga has 76. Now I believe is Bouanga up to 18 or 19 goals on the season, coming off of another 20-goal season after 20-goal season. So I definitely, he was my player to watch, obviously, in this one. And I thought this would be his breakout game. I thought he would have at least a brace. He certainly did what he needed to do to try and get that brace. That's for sure. James Pantemis, again, just played really, really well. Even in stoppage time, unfortunately, LAFC couldn't capitalize on the, 2 or 3 minutes that Portland was down a man for Vincent Janssen's second yellow card. Really a silly one, right? For time wasting as he kicks the ball away. Of course, that's going to be a yellow card all day long. And it wound up being his second. Just silly, if you ask me. Sonny and Denis had those shots saved right at the death, Philly. And when that whistle blew, it was frustrating. I mean, absolutely. We talked about it enough. 34 shots, 11 or 12 on target. 2.3 XG, right? We don't get a certificate for XG at the end of the night. But look, again, we ran into a hot keeper and couldn't finish on the same night.
Yeah, the double whammy. I mean, the numbers are absurd. I mean, you see the possession, the amount of shots, the touches in the box. Yeah, the difference in terms of SG. Pantemis is the Greek-Canadian. The amount of saves. LAFC setting a club record with shots. The previous record, by the way, was 31. This time we hit 34. And Denny with 12 of those by himself, 6 of them on target. All career highs, and somehow it's still 1-1. If you showed me these numbers without showing me the score, I'm guessing LAFC wins this match 4-1, maybe 5-1. Instead, 1 point. So the question is, Oscar in the chat goes, everyone is playing like El Pistolero can't finish. What is Mario up to these days? I wonder if he's back in Spain.
I'll find out.
El Pistolero de Agua, I think is what we call them. While you find them, I'll ask the question. Was this good or bad? Because here's where I think the conversation could get kind of interesting, because I'm not willing to call this a bad performance. We can't. LAFC dominated almost every meaningful attacking metric. They created chances. They won territory, controlled possession, limited Portland's opportunities, responded very aggressively after conceding 4 minutes in. They fought back to get something from the match, but there's plenty there to like. But there comes a point while creating chances without finishing them stops being bad luck. It becomes weakness. And that's what Marc Dos Santos and this group have to figure out, because once we get into the postseason, you don't get 34 opportunities very often. Sometimes you get 4, 2, maybe 1, and championship teams have somebody who can bury it. You still looking?
No, yeah, I'm good. Mario Gonzalez is currently in Armenia's first division. Right.
Armenia.
Yeah, he is in Armenia's first division for FC Noah Yerevan. He has played about 150 minutes over 3 matches, has an assist. The year before that, he was with Burgos in La Liga 2, where he scored 5 goals in 28 matches.
Wow. How in the heck do you go from Burgos to going to Armenia? I mean, you just stopped off in Romania on your way there. Wow. Like I don't know. Honestly, I don't know anything about the Armenian top flight, but I know on the way to that part of the world, there's probably a couple other countries he could have, or at the very least should have landed in. Wow. I'm not going to say an epic fall from grace, but I mean, from where he started to ending up in Armenia, no disrespect to anybody Armenian, but you go from starting out at Villarreal to going to Armenia and you're from Spain. Yeesh.
Yeah, 1 goal in 534 minutes for LAFC for El Agua Pistolero. Look,
now you know. So thank you, by the way, and always appreciate you being in the chat. Everybody, everybody who's here, thank you, Erica.
Absolutely. Well. Again, kudos to the unified team for giving us something to celebrate after this, the 6-1 victory. Just seeing how happy the players were finishing an undefeated season, how hard they work over the course of the entire season. This isn't just, rolling out some cones and doing some quick warm-ups before a jog around the pitch. These athletes are playing legitimately high-level football, and they got to do so on the pitch at BMO. They played this year in Nashville. They had a wonderful season. And again, I take it back to last season where I was in Chicago for Sonny's debut game. The fact that Chicago Fire's unified team had to play LAFC's unified team on a practice pitch in the parking lot for their stadium made me so angry, so frustrated that these two teams, Chicago's and LAFC's, their two unified teams are putting in all of the work, all of the blood, the sweat, and the tears. And for them to be relegated to an afterthought in the parking lot on turf when it was about 100 degrees on that turf, to see how some clubs kind of cast aside their unified team versus what LAFC has done from the beginning. These guys are playing at BMO Stadium. These guys are playing in front of crowds, in front of parts of the 3252 who stayed to drum and chant. And I love when other unified clubs have to come play us, because I at least know that LAFC is going to do everything in their power to be good stewards for this whole unified team movement that we have in Major League Soccer. And I'm just so proud of LAFC's.
Oh, 100%. I would have loved to have stayed with you, but I had to hitch a ride with my wife, who had already been working a late and brutal shift at the hospital. So we left after LAFC game. But yeah, shout out to the unified team. Awesome stuff. And obviously everybody that's involved with that. You had content, but you said your phone kind of went janky. So not sure if we're going to be able to share that content.
Oh yeah. We'll have content. I got some interviews with the coaches and players after the game. So yeah, definitely.
All right. I guess just going back to the game. I mean, I guess a couple of takeaways. If you want, I mean, my big takeaway is, this team doesn't need to rediscover how to play the game. We are kind of broken in a way in terms of like not having everybody fully healthy, but LAFC needs to rediscover how to finish games. San Diego, one mistake cost them. Colorado, one mistake cost them. Tonight against Portland, another early mistake put them behind. And despite producing chance after chance, they couldn't freaking do it. And those are the razor-thin margins we continue to talk about. The good news, though, those margins can change really quickly. The concerning part, we're now starting to see the same pattern repeatedly. LAFC has conceded first in 3 consecutive MLS matches, and we already talked about the record, 0-7-2, virtually unstoppable when we score first. Denny still is LAFC's, I guess you could call it a chaos button. If he had that killer, if he maintains that killer instinct that he had cutting through defenders and just saying, F you all, I'm going to do it myself, I think we're going to start to see some more goals. Another key thought, our tactics worked until the most important part. 34 shots means you're doing a lot correctly, but one goal means you're doing one thing extremely poorly. And we need to find a way to score. We can't continue to chase games. We can't continue to concede first, but thank God for Denny the Destroyer, because otherwise we're speaking in a completely different tone. This is more a frustrated podcast as opposed to being a straight pissed off, we've lost 3 straight 1-0 podcast.
I couldn't agree more. I actually think, too,
we need to disagree a little more, come to think of it. We agree too much.
I actually think if I'm going to take away one silver lining from this, it's not that we created 34 shots or, all the chances and the night that James Pantemis had. It's actually the night that Denis Bouanga didn't have. And what I think that's going to do is it's going to continue to fuel Denis. Denis runs on fuel no matter what. The guy gets up out of bed every morning and wants there to be a game so he can go
ethanol
score.
And cherry juice. He consumes it every morning.
Absolutely. My biggest takeaway, though, is this is the Denis Bouanga that we are going to need for the final 12 matches of the regular season. If Denis Bouanga takes 12 shots every night, I'm in. If Denis Bouanga puts 6 on target, I'm in. Whatever Denis Bouanga needs to do, Denis Bouanga can continue to do. He has carte blanche, in my opinion, probably in Mark Dos Santos' opinion, and in all of you out there in the millions.
And millions.
In all of your opinions as well. We all know we live by the sword, we die by the sword of Denis Bouanga. Sonny, for some reason, he's just not the alpha dog that we need him to be right now. And there absolutely can be 2 alpha dogs on this team. There needs to be 2 alpha dogs on this team. And I'll tell you what, when David Martinez comes back, if he's fully healthy, I want him to go ahead and try and be an alpha dog as well. Don't defer to each other. Smoke him if you got him. Take the shot. Put it in the back of the net. Keep the pressure on. We're going to need another striker or 2. I can't wait to see Armindo Sieb. He could be fun. He could add to some of this. But the night that Denis Bouanga didn't have is certainly going to continue to fuel him over the course of these 12 games as if he needed fuel to begin with.
Yeah, you talk about Sonny real quick, 90 minutes played in XG, a spot 6.5, 21 for 31 on his accurate passing. His shot accuracy was at 2 for 4 at 50%, 54 touches. He looked tired towards the end of the night. I mean, that's the one thing I could definitely say. But to your point, he needs to go out there and bring in that dog mentality. If he and Denny could just stop being so nice, I guess you can say. Maybe that's not really a phrase. Maybe that's not really the case, but just a little more selfishness from the both of them. That would go a long way. I mean, clearly they're taking the chances. Clearly they're finding the spaces. But as we start playing better teams, and Portland clearly was not a good team, as we start playing better teams, we're not going to get that many shots off for sure. I mean, we may never see this for a long time again. Again, record-setting numbers right now, but got to find the ability to convert. And I still feel confident in this bunch that they're going to get it figured out. We've seen time and time again throughout the history of Major League Soccer how a lot of eventual MLS Cup champions played like doggy doo-doo up until it started getting to the end of the season and the postseason. I'm talking about you, Seattle. I'm talking about you, Galaxy. We've seen that a number of times, and a number of cups have been lifting in just that manner. Very rarely do teams go through an entire season, win the Supporters' Shield, and win MLS Cup. We know that if we followed this league. It's not the most dominant team that always comes out on top. It's just the team that gets hot at the right time. And hopefully that could be the case for LAFC. Hopefully they get healthier. Hopefully Timothy Tillman isn't too banged up. But the last thing I do want to say is a shout out to the family that we met up in Founders Club, the Eintracht Frankfurt supporters. The probability of a family wearing Eintracht kits and being at a table with a guy that knows a lot about the Bundesliga, very, very much on the small scale, but they had a good time. Scarf, I don't know if you remember, you bought shots.
Yeah,
it was a good time. So shout out to, hopefully what we have is some new LAFC supporters. Don't want to put any names out there because I don't know if y'all feel comfortable about it, but appreciate your hospitality. Appreciate y'all. Aufgeht's the Adler. It was really cool to see Eintracht kits in there. And that for me was the highlight of the day. That and the Denny goal, of course. And
Yeah,
more
and
importantly,
real
getting to be
quick,
at the tailgate and drink with you, Scarf. Well, not at the tailgate, but chilling with you. You're drinking
no, that was
Gatorade because
very
you're hydrating. You need those electrolytes.
that was a wonderful time out there at tailgate. Just want to give a quick standings update. LAFC has played 22 matches in the Western Conference. The only other team that's played 22 matches in the West is the Galaxy. Everybody else is either on 21 or 20 matches. LAFC sits in third place, 35 points. San Jose and Dallas, who both have one match in hand on, San Jose, Dallas, and St. Louis are all on 33 points with one match in hand on LAFC. So potentially they win their next match, all three of them, and they jump LAFC. We could be as far down as sixth when everybody gets to 22 matches. We are 5 points back of Vancouver, and they have 2 matches in hand for first place. We are 3 points back of Houston, and they have 1 match in hand on LAFC. But the silver lining, Philly, we get a little bit of a break. We travel to DC to go hang out with our good friend Nathan Ortaz, but that match isn't for another week, Saturday, August 29th. And oh, by the way, we don't have a Saturday home game at BMO Stadium until October. Yeah. October. That's nuts.
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me until they put it up on the screen at BMO. That's a pretty long time. I mean, the trip to Audi Field isn't a very close one, but it's nice to not have to deal with another Wednesday game, although it won't be too long from the time that we have them. Sandy, Utah is our next stop, and then it's a midweek melee against the New Jersey Energy Drinks, a team that I absolutely despise. They, after our rivals down the 110, are probably the team that I like the least for multiple reasons that we can get into prior to that game on that one more sleep. But then the schedule gets interesting. We go on the road against SKC, and if LAFC can't get 3 points against Sporting Kansas City, we got a problem. Then we go on the road to San Jose. There's Dallas, Vancouver, Austin, Galaxy we host. October's going to be a busy freaking month for all of us. I can't wait for the October scenarios. I mean, so many good games coming in. Obviously, right before Halloween, we've got whatever you want to call it. We'll call it the 110 collision, but getting down to the nitty gritty of the season, and we gotta start figuring this thing out. Otherwise, our seeding in the conference is going to continue to drop. But anyway,
and look, we play 3 matches in 8 days to close the season. By the way, nothing like a little cherry on top there in November. So, all right, 1-1 draw. We didn't love it. Nobody loved it, but at least we created some chances. I don't know. All right,
whatever. So, that's it's if you can't finish. And it doesn't matter what we're talking about, defenders. If you can't finish, you get all excited, all hyped up, all pent up, and you can't finish. That sucks. That sucks. I'm not going to get any more detailed than that. Y'all can read between the lines, but it doesn't matter if you can't finish. Ask anybody out there. Ask any male, female, whatever. If you can't finish, nobody likes you. I don't know. I got nothing else to say there.
We're going to let Philly figure out some more metaphors for that a little bit later, y'all. But listen, thank you guys as always. However it is that you access Defenders of the Bank content, we love you guys so much. Thank you to all in the chat. You guys are all amazing, and we'll continue to keep bringing you the content. So keep hanging out with us, you guys. You know how we like to end each and every one of these things.
Bye-bye.
Bye.